moving on to part 3. Whoop, whoop. So you may wonder why we're not spending too much time on the Civil War. Well, because we got a lot of crap to study. That's pretty much why. And honestly, the individual battles, unless you are just a war nut, probably not going to matter too much to you. You need to know the big ones like Antietam, bloodiest day of U.S. war history. You need to know things like the fact that the battles of Bull Run happened. Do you necessarily need to say everything about it? No, not really. All right, so let's get here to contrabands. Okay, so abolitionists are going to start to demand emancipation as part of the war efforts. So basically, slaves who escaped to the Union armies were called contrabands of war. So anytime you have property that you get as a result of war, it will be called a contraband. And so they're going to refer to these as contrabands. They are taking the Southern property there. Confiscation Act of 1861 authorizes the seizure of property used to support the rebellion. Radical Republicans worked for legislation that would end slavery in the rebellious states and outlaw slavery in the federal territories. So again, that is not initially what the Union is fighting for, but Lincoln does finally feel pressured. So originally he was all about preserving the Union, and to do that he believed we kind of just needed to stop the spread of slavery, not necessarily get rid of it. Apparently it's been a longer day than I thought. But he was really adamant about preserving the Union. 1862, Lincoln is going to initially reject the emancipation, just the idea of emancipation, but in August of 1862, he's going to publicly link black freedom with the preservation of the Union. And he is going to decide and determine and realize that without the freedom of the slaves, that he's not going to continue to have the support he needs, and that this war needs to kind of move in that direction. So slavery could, So slavery could continue in those states that had not rebelled. So when Lincoln gives the Emancipation Proclamation, and we will look at that, but if you look at it carefully, when you read it, there are states and areas that are not included in the Emancipation. So basically, Lincoln gets up, he gives this speech, the Emancipation Proclamation, and he tells everybody that we are going to free all of the states, the slaves from all the southern states, but he really can't do that because they're not considering themselves part of the Union at this point. And so he doesn't really free anybody at that point, but it is a big turning point in the fact that this is going to change the direction of the war for the Union. They will start fighting for emancipation as opposed to just preserving the Union. So areas that were border states that stayed with the Union, so Maryland, Missouri, other places occupied by Union armies, parts of Tennessee, Virginia, southern Louisiana, they will not have their slaves freed. So Lincoln's going to call emancipation an act of justice. All right, Mississippi becomes an important battle here. General Grant is going to try to split the Confederacy in two. So he is going to achieve that with the surrender of Vicksburg, Mississippi. He takes the regions. He takes regions of Louisiana as well, and slaves begin deserting the region, Gulf of Mexico. Let's see, Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, July of 1863. Union victory is very difficult, but they do make it. After 3 days, there's 28,000 Confederate deaths and 23,000 Union deaths. This is the last effort by the Confederates to actually invade the North, and at this point they start fighting only a defensive war. It increases the power of the Republican Party and its supporters. Okay, so that gets us into the end of section 3. We have just a little bit more to go, so I will catch up with you when you click on the next one. So I hope you have a good morning, afternoon, or evening. See you soon.